Welcome to a very special Abundant Universe podcast. Today's episode was inspired by a conversation I had over the weekend with a friend and client who said it literally changed her life in an instant. So I knew I had to do a podcast episode on this topic. But this one is a little different because there are actual visual aids that go with it. So if you're into that sort of thing and you're listening on one of the podcast platforms, you might want to hop on over to YouTube and watch the video to let this information sink in a layer deeper. And you can find that link in the show notes. Make sure you stick around until the end to fully understand how reality works, why only now matters, and how you have the power to jump timelines and manifest miracles in your life anytime you want, because we're going to hit this concept harder than we ever have before. Also, be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening so you never miss a mind blowing episode. And if you're on YouTube, please like the video to let the algorithm know it should show it to more people who are looking for content that helps them free themselves from the confines of linear time and physical 3D reality. I would also love it if you leave me a comment with your biggest takeaways and aha moments from this episode. But before we dive in, allow me to introduce myself really quickly in case you are not familiar with me. My name is Elle. I'm a motivational speaker, self mastery and mindful manifestation mentor, energy alchemist and quantum healer, spiritual and ascension activator. I'm also clairaudient, claircognizant, and clairsentient, a bridge between science and spirituality, a path of least resistance finder, as well as a path forger, because if there isn't already a path for me to find, I'll just fucking carve one out. If you're into human design and quantum human design, I'm a manifesting generator or time bender. And if you're into numerology, my life path number is 11, and my soul urge or heart desire is a 9. So please feel free to tell me about yourself in the comments because I want to get to know you too. And if you're interested in working with me by the end of this, please check the description box below for all the links you need to make that happen. But just to warn you, I'm also a stone cold weirdo who doesn't fuck around. And without further ado, on with the show. You are literally a different version of yourself than you were when this episode started. In fact, you're a different version of yourself in a different timeline than you were when I started this sentence. Otherwise, you'd essentially be hearing me say the same word over and over again. Time, movement, and reality itself are all illusions. So buckle up because we're about to go deeper into this concept than I ever have before, which is why I felt the need to include visuals with this one. This is why now is where all of your power and potential are. The only real time is now because of the true nature of reality. Remember flip books from when you were a kid and how each page had a slightly different illustration on it, and when you flipped through them quickly, it created the illusion of movement? Well, that's literally how reality works too. It can also be likened to frames in a movie or an animation where each frame has a slightly different image on it, but when you put them together in motion, you're watching a whole ass movie, right? This is why movies were actually called moving pictures way back in the day. Then they became motion pictures, and movie was introduced as the slang term for them in America around 1909. So you're welcome for that fun little history lesson. Anyway, believe it or not, that's actually how our reality is constructed. So we're all constantly shifting through different timelines, which creates the illusion of time and movement. And if we weren't shifting through these frames of our reality, we'd be frozen in time. But it's not our physical bodies that shift because the matter in each timeline is predetermined, including us. So, what's actually shifting is our consciousness, and it's shifting into different versions of ourselves that already occupy the other timelines. Excuse me. And honestly, I think the word timeline itself creates a lot of confusion because it consists of the words time and line, which makes it sound like a linear path through time. But like I said, each timeline is more like a movie frame or a page in a flip book. Are you with me so far? I hope so because it's about to get even crazier the more I talk. And what I'm about to explain is something I've talked about in other episodes, but never with visual aids. So I think this one will be a lot clearer. There, there are infinite timelines, frames, pages, however you want to look at it, with every possible version of you that you can imagine and every possible version of you that you can't imagine in the quantum field, just waiting for your consciousness to occupy them and collapse those timelines into physical reality. And they all exist within varying degrees of vibrational frequency from one another. So some realities are made up of timelines that are all in the same frequency. Or to go back to our movie analogy, some frames vibrate the same, so they're in the same movie. And if we're talking about flip books, some of your pages are all in the same book. And shifting, moving, or flipping through them creates the illusion of continuity because time passes according to our 3D senses, but not much else changes. They're still occupied by the same people, holding the same beliefs, thinking the same thoughts at the same level of consciousness. So they're doing the same things and creating the same reality day after day. And some of these realities, movies, or flip books are vibrating at a slightly different frequency. So they basically look the same and have very similar stories, but there might be slight differences in them that you'd either ignore because they're so slight, you would think that perhaps you were remembering things wrong, or they might make you say something like, hey, looks like my neighbor got a new car, when in actuality, that's the car they've always had in this particular reality. So if you mentioned their new car to them and got that answer, you'd either think you were crazy, they were crazy, or that maybe they were gaslighting you. Let me know in the comments if anything similar has ever happened to you if you're watching this on YouTube. But if you're not, I want you to know you're missing out on some sick visual aids. And it goes on like this with realities, movies, or flip books that all gradually change according to the difference in their frequencies. But if you compared your current reality with one that's vibrating at a very different frequency, it would be unrecognizable to you. So, for example, maybe in your current reality, you work in retail and are in a local band. And in a reality that's vibrating at a different frequency, you own the store you currently work at. But in a reality of a much different frequency, you're playing sold out concerts in arenas and stadiums all over the world. And all of these realities are available to you simultaneously because they all coexist in the quantum field. And there, everything happens all at once because you guessed it, time is an illusion. So imagine that there are infinite movies or choose your own adventure flip books in which you are the main character and you're just moving through frames or flipping through pages unconsciously until one day you realize there are other movies or flip books you can be the main character of that have everything you've ever wanted, and they all exist at the exact same time as the one you're currently in. So let's say one of the things you really want to manifest right now is a healthy, loving relationship. There is a frame or a page in one of your movies or flip books where you're meeting the person of your dreams and they're completely captivated by you right now. And you can shift your consciousness into the version of you who's already in that movie or flip book. Or to go back to timelines, you can shift yourself into that timeline at any moment. And let's just bust a manifestation misconception right now, since it is Monday. You can never miss out on that movie frame, flipbook page, or timeline of reality because it's literally constantly happening for all of eternity. You can make it take a really long time to get there by not aligning with it, but as soon as you do, you're there, experiencing your very own meet cute. Your story is only a tragedy if you never realize this, so you can't take the plot into your own hands. And your story is not happening to you. You're writing, directing, producing, and starring in it right now. So you may as well choose your own adventure that includes everything you desire most, right? The only reason you view something as being in your future is because you haven't experienced it yet. But you can bring it into your present by aligning with it and shifting yourself into the reality where it already exists and it's already yours. Now, you may need to shift through a few other timelines before you get all the way there, creating a bridge of incidents, but you will get there as long as you persist in that version of reality by not letting the one you're currently in trigger you and fuck up your frequency. And the only reason you consider something as being in your past is because your consciousness has already experienced it and it exists as a memory in your mind. But it still exists right now in the quantum field, even though it's part of your linear past. And remember, your consciousness has been shifting through many different versions of you since the beginning of this episode. But your reality is cohesive because you're still watching or listening to it right now, perhaps believing and thinking the same things you were at the beginning. Or maybe you're not. Maybe this episode has opened your mind in a way you didn't even know was possible when we started. And if that's the case, congratulations, my friend, because the expansion of your awareness has shifted you and your consciousness. Well, it's just shifted your consciousness. But anyway, it has shifted your consciousness into a version of you who knows and understands more about reality creation than the previous version. And you're now in a higher vibrational timeline because of your expanded awareness. And what you do with this information, how you integrate it and expand upon it, will help you continue shifting yourself into higher and higher timelines until you're experiencing all of your current dreams and desires. There is so much freedom in realizing that you are a new version of yourself in every second of every day. Because think of it this way: the version you are right now, whether this information has expanded your consciousness or not, never actually experienced the things you remember. Your consciousness carries those memories forward with you, but you have the power to renounce that reality and claim a new one or choose your own adventure anytime. This version of you can choose to change your beliefs, tell new stories that empower you, and remind yourself anytime the old ones pop up that a different version of you believed those, and they hold no power over your current version and reality. The same goes for your decisions and mistakes, in quotation marks, because I don't believe in mistakes. But the you who made those is a different version of you who exists in a different timeline of your reality, frame of your movie, or page in your flipbook. So, because time isn't actually linear and we only experience it that way as a result of constantly moving through timelines, I want you to imagine yourself standing in the center of a field of infinite possibilities. You can call this the quantum field if you want. And you can move to any of the infinite paths all around you right now because they all exist right now. By the way, I think I'll create a meditation to help you integrate this concept and choose your preferred reality, and I'll upload that on YouTube for those of you who are into it. because you are not bound by linear time as it is an illusion anyway. And all of these infinite possibilities are all around you constantly, just waiting for you to choose and line up with them. That's the power you have. You can make the choice to change your beliefs, dominant thought patterns, and stories anytime you want because you're always a new version of yourself. So stop telling the old stories now and start claiming and lining up with your new reality. And that, in a nutshell, is how it's possible to jump timelines and manifest anything you desire instantly or close to it. You just have to believe that you can, based on all the information in this episode, and start expanding your consciousness with new beliefs, thoughts, and stories, which raises your vibration and aligns you with new possibilities that all exist right now. If you want my help with that, since I understand the actual brain science and quantum physics behind all of it, as well as the spiritual concepts, which means I can help you reprogram your thoughts, rewire your brain, quantum clear energetic and karmic blockages that may hold you back from other timelines, other lifetimes, all of that kind of stuff, and activate dormant DNA to massively accelerate the process and help you quantum leap into your preferred reality. Check out the show notes or description box below, as there's a plethora of ways I can support you depending on your current time and financial investment, because you deserve to live in a reality of freedom, fulfillment, peace, the highest joy, magic, and abundance in every aspect of your life simply by being yourself. And I believe in you, so you should too. Much love.